Mighty Radio.
Welcome out there. We are honored to have legendary cutman, great MMA personality, Jacob Stitch Duran. Mr. Duran, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing all right. Just got home from a great event in Los Angeles for the Bellator show, and I was just checking out the fights right now with Tito and Cheo, and then you guys called, but I'm doing good, man.
Good, good. I want to actually talk about that. Bellator 170 took place. It was Tito Ortiz's retirement match. You were actually in Tito's corner. Talk about his legacy, and do you guys have any relationship going back? I mean, this guy's been fighting since '97. Can you just please your thoughts on Tito's career as a whole, and then how he's impacted the sport of mixed martial arts?
Yeah, no, of course I got a great legacy with Tito, and I was talking to one of the journalists last night and talking about how if anybody has really made a statement within the mixed martial arts, it's Tito, Chuck Liddell, and Randy Couture. These guys are the ones that have really made the game what it is today. And I've worked with Tito many times, and we have a good relationship. And I saw him like a month ago when Joe Smith fought Bernard Hopkins at the Forum. And Tito was at ringside, and he was telling me about his fight and told me he wanted me to work his corner. But it seems every time he's fought, or many of the times he's fought, I've always been there for him.
So going back to that same fight, when you're there, is it hard to kind of concentrate on the actual fight? Because I know you're supposed to be seeing like the wounds and cuts and stuff like that as the fight progresses, but something's that historic. Right. Do you feel yourself like more of a fan at those type of moments?
Oh, yeah, no, of course. You have to feel like a fan, because I am there. I'm watching a great fight, but I have to be realistic in knowing that my job is to stay focused on Tito and make sure that he comes out as good looking as he is going in. So that's just something that I do on a regular basis.
Yeah. I kind of want to jump back to Bellator as a whole in the organization. If for all the fight fans out there, if you've never been to a Bellator event, I mean, it's really something to see with the stage and the video packages and the lighting. They really do a great job of highlighting the fighters themselves, and they show their nicknames and these great packages on there, and they had them come down to the ramp by themselves so that the fans know who they are and get their personality. Like, what's that like for you, seeing how Scott Croker and Spike TV and Viacom just invest so much in these fighters and their personalities?
Yeah, I was talking to Scott last night, and Scott and I go back many years, before he even owned Strikeforce, when I had my school of kickboxing, my fighters would fight for him. So we have a very great, a good relationship. And he was saying that, I was telling him how it's nice the way the setup is. And, that's something that he's always done ever since I've known Scott, But for Bellator, Scott, and Spike, to be doing that, it really gives that fan that energy. And that was the word that was being said last night during the whole show, is that there was a whole new sense of energy here. And one of the journalists mentioned that, he said, Stitch, doesn't this remind you of the UFC 8 years ago? When they were there for the people, and they did all this for the people, and that's what Scott Coker is doing. And I think last night's show just took them to a different level. And, they're definitely A players big time.
Yeah, I think it was. I was actually in attendance on Saturday, at the fight, and there's like all these legends of MMA, Randy Couture, the Gracies, Wanderlei Silva was there, a lot of celebrities, and the atmosphere was just like, it was an event, like it was like almost like a party. I mean, people were there to watch the fights, but everybody seemed happy to be there. The air was light. I mean, it was a great experience, and like to see that the fighters looked energized, and it just was. What Bellator is doing, they're doing something really special, I think, different. And it's special and it's different, which is, I think, needs to stick out when there's so much MMA out there in the world that people know they could turn to alternative and see, hey, this is something different. Let me drop the remote and see what they're doing here.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and the word energy is the one that keeps popping up, and it's a show, so the fans that are sitting in the arena, they get entertained because of the lights and the design of the walkthrough and all that, and the people at home. I mean, I was just watching it on TV, with all the lights and everything. It's a spectacular event, and I think you're going to see that even getting bigger and better. And, with Fedor and Matt Mitrione coming up, coming up, I think, February 18th, expect another great show.
Yeah, I want to ask you, too, with the boom in mixed martial arts popularity, over the past, half decade and decade and so, the great thing about this is the personalities surrounding it have, become, famous themselves, the referees, the announcers, and obviously the cutman. Do you remember when you first kind of realized, like, hey, this is getting big? Like, do you remember the first time a fan asked you for an autograph and a picture, and were you kind of taken back by that?
It's been too many years. It's been too many years. I guess that's a good thing if I can't remember that. But it did take me aback last night, to see, so many people that would come and hit me up for autographs and, try to get from one location to the other. And the thing about it is that's the thing about the mixed martial arts is that, the fighters and, like the referees, the cutmen, we take that time to spend time with the fans and give them that opportunity. And it's tough to say no. But what really impressed me, and I was telling Tito after the fight, I said, man, you know what? There's so many Latinos here that are here to support you.
Yeah.
But in supporting Tito, then they were supporting me also. And, everybody continues to say and support that, what happened with me in the UFC, how they respect what I did and, how they, they're bashing the UFC and all that. So, that's a very outstanding feeling for me to have that kind of love from the fans.
Yeah, and one thing I was going to ask too, in your opinion, because most fighters have nothing but positive things to say about your work as a stitch man, but in your opinion, why do you think separates you from everybody else as far as a cut man?
Well, that's a good question. But I think the relationship I have with the fighters, I guess Frank Mir probably said it best. He says, when I see Stitch walking into the dressing room, my stomach just drops because I know it's time to fight. So those are the moments that I kind of, I know how to handle these guys because I know it's their first step going into battle. And, Vitor Belfort said, when I see Stitch walking into the dressing room, whether he's working in the other corner or not, he brings that calming effect. And but it's important for me to reinforce to them that I'm going to take care of them just like they're my children. And I think, these guys, even though they're the baddest dudes in the world, they're still human and, and they still have that little fear factor in them. And if I can remove some of that, then I think, that's what separates me from the other guys.
So, yeah, so let's jump back into it. I want to ask you about the being in the corner of a fight, high-profile fights. But, I mean, what's the weirdest piece of advice you've heard, like a coach, not name-dropping, like here, to give to a fighter when you're like, oh, my God, don't not listen to that at all if you're trying to cut a guy up? Do you hear, like, some weird things in the corner sometimes?
Yeah, well, throughout the years I've done fights, there's been some crazy things, but not too much. Usually when you're at this level, you have good trainers that have been working corners consistently, and they give pretty good advice. The Greg Jacksons, the Justin Burkholz, they all give Duke Rufus, they all give instructions. So there's been some funny moments, where I'll just sit there and laugh.
And then we've seen some pretty vicious cuts in MMA. Has there ever been a time where, like, you see the guy coming to your corner and you're just like, oh, man, I'm going to have to seriously do some work right here and patch him up the right way?
Oh yeah. Of course, it happens pretty frequently, when guys get busted up and I have to go in there and I know I have to, work as much to keep them in the game as possible. And, whenever there's nothing more of a satisfaction for a cut man than to do this type of work on a fighter and then to have the fighter win.
Is there a fighter that you can think of that you had that incident happen?
Oh, yeah, well, remember Rory McDonald, or Robbie Lawler when he fought Rory McDonald? Yeah. That was when he busted his lip all the way. That one happened, and, people don't realize that Robbie Lawler also had like a 3-inch gash on top of his head. So not only the lip that was sliced, but also that, and I kept him in the game, and he won. So those are some of the fun things. But there's been plenty of fights. Brock Lesnar when he fought King Velasquez. There's just so many. And I'm glad to be part of that.
Hey, so I talked about the stuff you do outside of the cage now too. I mean, the incident with the UFC brought a lot of attention to you, and you've done a lot of great stuff to highlight, the fighters and stuff like that. So, what are some organizations you're involved with outside of the cage?
Oh, well, I obviously Bellator, and when I signed with Bellator, Scott Coker was very flexible, and he says, I understand you do boxing, but if you have a boxing show and we have our show, and if you want to take the boxing, go ahead. But if we have a date open and there's no boxing, please give us that date. And he goes, and if there's other organizations, like I've done the World Series of Fighting, I've done Invicta, I've done Rising. I just did a new organization from Russia called ATP last Friday. So those dates are available, then I'm flexible to work them, and that's kind of flexibility that Scott Coker has given me. But I'm always going to give them top priority when it comes to the mixed martial arts.
Yes, I'm actually one more thing to let you go is you have one of the greatest honors in combat sports and being in 2 Rocky movies. Any fan of boxing or any type of combat sports, those are kind of like the scripture sometimes for the box. What was it like working with Stallone? And you had a big role in the Creed movie, came out a couple of years ago. Just talk about your experience, and stuff like that, and how MMA and combat sports gave you those opportunities to star in movies.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I got a little Chicano from a little town in the San Joaquin Valley, Caplanada, that's been in 5 movies, and to get called for the movie Creed was a tremendous experience. I was at the WBC convention here in Las Vegas, and Jack Reese, one of the referees, came up to me and said that they were trying to contact me, and if I could, give them my number, and I said sure. And 5 minutes later, I get a call from the casting director, and they hired me to be in the movie Creed. So I spent 6 weeks in Philadelphia with Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan one-on-one. And to me, I kept telling Sly, and I kept telling Michael, and even Ryan Coogler, the director, I said, I can't sleep at nights, man. I'm in my room, and I'm thinking, what am I doing here? So because I just knew that the stuff that we were filming, I just knew it was going to be a great movie, And Ryan Coogler, the director, was a young kid from Oakland, 28 years old. And when he was directing the movie, I just saw the success in this. And then to work one-on-one with Sly and Michael B. Jordan, it was a dream come true, man. And I still pinch myself.
I mean, Stitch, I want to thank you. We'll let you go now. I want to thank you for taking the time to speak. We really do appreciate it, as we've been a big fan of combat sports for a long time, and you're one of the personalities we saw out there, and just to have you on the show is a great honor. And again, thank you so much. People can get you at StitchDuran.com, at Twitter and Instagram at StitchDuran. Again, sir, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Really do appreciate you, and then obviously all the great work you do. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate it. And before I sign off now, I thought let's let the fans know that, I just finished my second book, From the Field to the Garden 2. It's a continuation from the first one, and that's available at Amazon.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stitch. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks for the call, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.